The sun was dipping low in the sky, casting long shadows over the quiet cemetery where I found myself every single week. It had been nearly 2 years since I lost my son, my precious boy who had been taken from me too soon. Every visit, I spoke to his grave as if he were still here, hoping my words could somehow cross the veil between life and death. The freshly trimmed grass and carefully placed flowers were the only things I could control in this shattered reality. That afternoon, the air was unusually still. A soft breeze rustled the leaves, but otherwise, the cemetery felt heavier than usual, like it was holding its breath. As I approached my son's headstone, my heart sank a little. The spot where I always sat to talk was occupied. A small figure, a little boy no older than 7 or 8, was sitting there, staring intently at the ground. He had disheveled hair, wearing worn-out clothes that looked too big for him. I hesitated. It was unusual to see any visitor here, especially a child. My voice caught in my throat as I gently cleared it. "Excuse me, little one. This is where I usually come. Would you mind if I sit with you?" The boy looked up slowly, his eyes wide and deep, shining with a strange light. "I'm sorry, sir," he said softly, almost in a whisper. "I didn't mean to take your spot. I come here sometimes." His words pierced me. He wasn't just any child wandering the cemetery. There was something different about him, something I couldn't explain. Yet, something familiar, too. I sat down beside him, my heart pounding. "You come here sometimes?" "To my son's grave?" The boy nodded, looking at the grave with a sorrowful expression. "He's my friend," he said simply. "I like to talk to him." I was stunned. He wasn't just a stranger, there was something about his presence that felt otherworldly. I wiped the tears that had escaped down my cheeks and looked closer at Eli. There was a softness in his expression, a quiet pain that mirrored my own. "Eli, how did you find me? How do you know so much about my son?" He shrugged slightly, like it was the simplest thing in the world. "I just know. Sometimes, when you're very sad, you can see things that others can't." His words sent a chill through me. Was he talking about seeing spirits? Was this boy some kind of messenger? My heart pounded with hope and fear all at once. I took a deep breath and whispered, "What else did he tell you? What did he say about me?" Eli looked down, fiddling with a small stone on the ground. "He said you never stopped loving him, even when you couldn't see him anymore." Those words struck me like a lightning bolt. All the guilt, the nights spent crying, the overwhelming loneliness, they all made sense now. My son knew. He understood my love, even in silence. A sudden sadness flooded me, mixed with a strange comfort. I wasn't alone anymore. "Eli," I said softly, "would you like to sit with me for a while? I want to hear more about him. About my son." Eli nodded slowly, a faint smile breaking through his sorrow. "I want that too." The sky faded from orange to a dusky purple as I sat beside the strange boy. The silence between us was filled with unspoken questions, but I didn't want to scare him away. Instead, I asked softly, "What's your name?" He paused before answering, his voice barely above a whisper, "Eli." Eli. The name felt almost like a whisper from the past, something familiar but unreachable. "Do you live nearby?" I asked, trying to sound casual. He shook his head. "No, I don't have a home." His honesty was heartbreaking, and I found myself wanting to protect this lost little soul just as I had failed to protect my own son. "Why do you come here, Eli?" He looked up at me, his eyes bright but sad. "Because this is the only place where I feel close to him." I was stunned. "Close to who?" "The boy who used to play here a long time ago," Eli said, his gaze fixed on my son's grave. "He's my friend. We promised to watch over each other." The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. How could this child know about my son? How could he claim to be friends with him? "Your son?" I asked, my voice trembling. Eli nodded. "Yes. He told me stories about you. About how much you loved him." Tears welled up in my eyes. For so long, I had been alone in my grief, but now this strange boy seemed to offer a connection, a bridge between my son and me that I thought had been forever broken. I wanted to believe Eli was real, that maybe, just maybe, my son's spirit had sent him to me. I wiped the tears that had escaped down my cheeks and looked closer at Eli. There was a softness in his expression, a quiet pain that mirrored my own. "Eli, how did you find me? How do you know so much about my son?" He shrugged slightly, like it was the simplest thing in the world. I just know. Sometimes, when you're very sad, you can see things that others can't. His words sent a chill through me. Was he talking about seeing spirits? Was this boy some kind of messenger? My heart pounded with hope and fear all at once. I took a deep breath and whispered, "What else did he tell you? What did he say about me?" Eli looked down, fiddling with a small stone on the ground. He said you never stopped loving him, even when you couldn't see him anymore. Those words struck me like a lightning bolt. All the guilt, the nights spent crying, the overwhelming loneliness, they all made sense now. My son knew. He understood my love, even in silence. A sudden sadness flooded me, mixed with a strange comfort. I wasn't alone anymore. "Eli," I said softly, "would you like to sit with me for a while? I want to hear more about him. About my son." Eli nodded slowly, a faint smile breaking through his sorrow. "I want that too." We sat together on the cold stone bench, the cemetery growing darker around us. But somehow, with Eli there, the night didn't feel so lonely. I felt like I was finally sharing my burden with someone who understood. "I want to tell you about the last day I saw him," Eli said quietly. My heart tightened. "You saw him?" Eli nodded. "Not like you see people, but I was there. I saw him smiling, playing near the old oak tree." Tears welled up again. "My son loved that tree, the place where we used to play catch in the summer." "Did he say anything to you?" I asked. "Yes," Eli whispered. "He told me he was happy now. That he wanted me to tell you not to be sad all the time." I shook my head in disbelief. "How could he know I'm always sad? How did he send you to me?" Eli shrugged, his eyes full of mystery. "Because love never dies. It finds a way." His words settled deep inside me like a warm ember. Maybe I had been holding on to grief too tightly, afraid to let go. But Ellie's presence was a sign that my son's love was still alive, still reaching out through the darkness. I reached out and gently took Ellie's hand. It was small and cold, but alive. For the first time in years, I felt a fragile hope. The night deepened, and the cemetery grew colder, but my heart felt strangely warm. Sitting beside Eli, I felt a bond forming, one I never expected, but desperately needed. "Eli," I whispered, "tell me everything you remember about my son." He looked up at me, eyes shimmering in the dim light. He was brave, even when he was scared. He loved to laugh and would do anything to make you smile. I smiled weakly, remembering those precious moments. "I miss him every day. Sometimes I wonder if I could have done more to keep him here." Eli shook his head gently. "He told me you did everything you could. He was proud of you." The words eased the crushing weight of guilt I'd carried alone for so long. It was as if a veil had lifted just enough to let in some light. "Did he say why he left so soon?" I asked, my voice cracking. Eli hesitated, then whispered. He said it was time. That he had a mission beyond here. A shiver ran down my spine. What mission could my boy possibly have beyond this world? I wanted to believe it was true, that he was still out there, watching over me in ways I couldn't yet understand. "Will you stay with me for a little while longer?" I asked, clutching his hand tightly. Eli nodded. "I promised him I'd be here. And I want to be your friend too." The sky was now completely dark, with stars twinkling softly above. I glanced at the distant streetlights, the quiet hum of life beyond the cemetery fences. Yet here, time felt suspended, caught between past and present, grief and hope. Eli looked up at the stars, then back at me. "Do you believe in miracles?" he asked, his voice small. I laughed softly, tears glistening in my eyes. "I want to." He smiled faintly. "Sometimes, when you're willing to open your heart, miracles find you." A breeze swept through the trees, carrying the scent of fresh earth and memories. For the first time, I didn't feel the crushing loneliness that had defined me since my son's death. Instead, there was something fragile but undeniable, a connection that defied logic. "I don't know who you really are, Eli," I said quietly, "but meeting you feels like a gift." He looked at me with something like sadness and hope mixed. Maybe I'm more than just a boy. Before I could ask what he meant, a soft glow appeared near the grave, faint and pulsing like a heartbeat. My breath caught in my throat. Eli squeezed my hand. "He's here." The soft glow near my son's grave flickered gently, casting eerie shadows on the worn headstone. My heart pounded wildly in my chest as I stared at the shimmering light. Was this real? Was it my son's spirit trying to reach me? I looked down at Eli, whose eyes were wide but calm, as if he had seen this before. He's really here, isn't he? I whispered, my voice trembling. Eli nodded slowly. He comes when he knows someone needs him most. A mixture of fear, hope, and overwhelming love washed over me. The years of heartache, sleepless nights, and unbearable pain felt suddenly worth it, if only for this moment. I wanted to reach out, to touch the light, but my hands shook too much. Can he talk to me? Can he tell me he's okay? I asked, desperate for any sign of peace. Eli smiled softly. You don't need words. Sometimes love speaks louder than anything else. The glow grew warmer, like the embrace of a long-lost friend. I closed my eyes and let tears flow freely, feeling my son's presence wrap around me like a protective shield. The ache in my chest softened, replaced by a fragile hope I hadn't dared to feel in years. When I opened my eyes, the light was gone, but Eli was still there, his small hand resting on mine. He'll always be with you, Eli said gently. I looked at Eli, struggling to find the right words. How do you know all this? How did you find my son's grave? He hesitated before answering, his voice barely audible. I was lost, like you. I used to wander places where no one could hear me. Then one night, he appeared to me, not in person, but in a dream. He told me to find you. The idea seemed impossible, yet everything about Eli felt real, as if he were a living bridge between this world and the next. Why me? I asked. Why send you to me? Ellie's eyes glistened. Because love never dies, and because you still need him. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. The truth was, I didn't know how to live without my son. Every day was a battle against the crushing emptiness. Can you help me? I asked, desperation creeping into my voice. Help me find a way to live again? Eli smiled gently. I can try, but the first step is to remember that you're not alone anymore. As the moonlight bathed the cemetery in silver, I felt a tiny spark ignite inside me, a flicker of strength I thought had been lost forever. The moon hung high, casting a pale glow over the rows of silent graves. I still held Ellie's small hand in mine, feeling an unspoken promise passing between us. What happens now? I asked him, my voice barely above a whisper. Eli looked thoughtful, his young face shadowed by the soft light. Now we wait. Sometimes the hardest part of healing is waiting for the pain to soften. I nodded slowly, thinking about the endless nights I'd spent drowning in sorrow, wondering if the pain would ever fade. I'm tired, Eli. So tired of pretending to be strong. He squeezed my hand gently. You don't have to pretend with me. It's okay to be tired. For the first time in years, I felt a warmth that wasn't just from the fading sun or the cool night air. It was a fragile comfort, a lifeline thrown to me when I thought I had none. We sat in silence, watching the stars blink slowly above. Do you think he really was your friend? I asked softly. Eli smiled, eyes glistening with certainty. More than a friend. He's like a guardian, watching over me. And now, I'm watching over you. Tears pooled in my eyes again. The weight of grief felt lighter, carried now by the presence of this strange boy who had entered my life like a whisper from the beyond. Ellie's words hung heavy in the air, like a cold wind creeping beneath my skin. The cemetery, once a place of quiet sorrow, now felt alive with unseen eyes and whispered secrets. I gripped Ellie's hand tightly. What do they want? These restless souls. He looked around, cautious. Some want to be remembered. Some want justice. And some just want to be feared. A chill ran down my spine. Have they ever hurt anyone? Ellie's face grew serious. Yes, sometimes people come here and never leave the same. I swallowed hard, heart pounding with a mix of fear and protectiveness. What can we do? We have to be strong. We have to hold on to the light inside us, the love we carry. It's the only thing that can keep the darkness away. I nodded, feeling the weight of the task before me. This was no longer just about grief. It was a battle for my soul, and Eli was my unexpected guide. That night, I barely slept. My mind replayed Ellie's warning again and again. I wondered if my son's presence had shielded me all this time, and now the connection was awakening forces I wasn't prepared to face. The next day, I went back to the cemetery with a new sense of purpose. Eli was waiting for me by the gate, his face calm but serious. We need to do something, I said, to protect this place. To protect me, Eli nodded. There's a way, but it's not easy. We have to find the place where the veil between worlds is thinnest and strengthen it. I frowned. How do we do that? Eli reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, worn pendant. This belonged to your son. It's a key, but only if we work together. I looked at the pendant, feeling its strange warmth. Hope and fear warred inside me. Could this strange boy really help me protect my son's resting place and my heart? We'll do it, I said firmly. For him, for all of us. With the pendant in my hand and Eli leading the way, we venture deeper into the cemetery, past the familiar graves, and into a shadowed part I had never seen before. The air grew colder, heavier, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Ellie's voice was steady but urgent. This is where the veil is thinnest, the place where the living and the dead almost touch. I shivered, gripping the pendant tightly. Memories of my son's laughter mixed with the fear creeping in my chest. What do we need to do? We have to create a circle of light, Eli explained. A barrier of love and protection. But it requires your belief, your strength. I closed my eyes, summoning every memory, every feeling I had of my son. The warmth of his smile, the softness of his voice, the fierce love that had never died. Holding the pendant, I whispered words I didn't fully understand, but hoped would reach beyond the veil. A faint glow began to shimmer around us, pulsing and growing until the shadows seemed to retreat. I felt a power rise inside me, fragile but real, a force fueled by love and loss. Eli smiled, his eyes reflecting the light. It's working. As the circle of light grew stronger, a sudden chill swept through the air. The darkness pushed back, like a living thing unwilling to surrender. I felt a sharp tug at my heart, as if something unseen was trying to break through. Eli grabbed my arm tightly. Hold on. Don't let go of the light. I squeezed my eyes shut, focusing on the warmth of the pendant and the memories of my son. The pull intensified, but I refused to give in. Slowly, the chill lessened, the shadows receding into the night. When I opened my eyes, the cemetery looked different, calmer, safer. The restless spirits had been pushed back, at least for now. Eli exhaled, relief flooding his face. You did it. You were stronger than the darkness. Tears streamed down my cheeks, not just from relief, but from the knowledge that love truly could protect, even in the darkest places. I looked down at the pendant and whispered, "Thank you, my son, for sending me Eli, for giving me hope." In the days that followed, I found a new strength within myself, a resilience born from the love I carried and the connection Eli had helped me rediscover. The cemetery no longer felt like a place of pain, but a sanctuary where memories lived and spirits found peace. Eli and I continued our visits, sharing stories and moments of quiet understanding. He taught me to listen,